covering MMA from all over the world. This is the premier stop for all your combat sports needs. MMA Junkie Radio, the only show broadcasting live from the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. The lights are on and the mics are hot. It's time to get your MMA fix, junkies. Take it away, Big John.
Gorgeous George and Goes, are you ready? Junkie Nation, are you ready? Well, let's get it on.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Race and Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes, our ace co-host. Back east, producing the show, it's Jael. And check out this panel we have. To my far right, it's Alex Davis, MMA manager extraordinaire. And, of course, the headliner at next Saturday's UFC 239 pay-per-view. He'll be challenging Jon Jones for Jones's UFC undisputed light heavyweight belt. It's Thiago Santos. What's up, guys? How you doing? Tudo bem? Mis amigos brasileiros.
A pleasure for me to stay here.
Thank you, sir. So Thiago knows a little bit of English, and when he can, he'll speak a little bit of English, but that's why we also have Alex Davis so that he can do some translating. But it's a pleasure to have you here. Cannot wait for your fight next Saturday. I mean, Thiago, you've been a mean dude these last 8 out of 9 fights that you've won. You've won 4 in a row. Devastating knockouts. You're a violent individual, man, and I love every second of it. So I'm glad to see you here against Jon Jones. I think this is going to be a very interesting task for him.
Ele está muito feliz que você está aqui. Suas últimas 9 lutas têm sido maravilhosas e ele acha que você vai ser desafio difícil pro Jon Jones. Okay. Well, since he got a little bit tongue-tied, I'd like to say something here about Thiago. Okay. Thiago's already a winner just getting here. Okay, when we started working together, Thiago, he was broke. He got sent up to me with only his one-way ticket, you know. And when we started working, he wasn't living in the city of God. He didn't have where to fall dead, you know. And now to see where he's come, I'm extremely proud of him as a person, as a fighter. You know, he has a beautiful social project in the city of God, you know. So not only is this guy that worked his way all the way up, and you know his path wasn't straight up. There were losses in the way, there were hard times, there were all kinds of things. This is what a real fighter's life is like. And he also gives that back to a bunch of poor kids, you know. So this is a really awesome guy in the ring and outside the ring.
You're referencing the same city of God that they've made a movie about as well?
That's the same city of God.
Okay.
Wow. Right. Have you ever heard of when guys like him fight that come from that area, how do they all get together and watch those type of fights?
I think that when his fight happens, I think there's not going to be any robberies, no gunfights, no nothing. I think the whole place is going to stop. Right, Thiago? Eu acho que quando você lutar, a cidade de Deus para. Não vai ter tiroteio, não vai ter roubo, não vai ter nada.
Yeah. Well, basically, I know you know a little bit of English. I was just saying you're a great fighter, and I can't wait to watch you and Jon Jones. I think it's going to be a great and exciting fight.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that fight. I respect Jon Jones. He's a great champion, but now it's my moment, it's my time, and I will be the new light heavyweight champion July 6th.
You speak better English than Alex. That was good. That was really good English. Você
fala tries very hard.
Inglês muito bom.
So.
Good job, Thiago Santos.
So.
All right. You saw Jon Jones on Monday, and you guys went face to face. What did you see? Did you read him at all?
I think Jon is think about that fight. Will be the easy fight for him, but
you think he thinks that?
Yeah, he think, but no.
But man, your nickname.
Not will be.
Maheta means sledgehammer, and when I think of Blachowicz, Manoa, Edwards, Smith, I mean, he's been a sledgehammer. I would think that Jon Jones is thinking, wow, I really have to be on my toes more than ever because this guy can turn my lights out at any moment. You know, you're taller, you're longer than some of his opponents, and the explosion in power that you carry, that should be a concern.
Ele falou que você é muito explosivo, né? E que isso, o Jon Jones deve estar preocupado com isso.
I don't know, but this is my I fight that desse jeito, como fala.
I fight like that. That's my style.
I fight like that. That's my style. Aggressive. This. I will put my aggressive, that my power.
Okay.
This is my
weapons.
My weapons. Yeah.
All right. Now, Alex talked about your life story a little bit. Now you're a professional fighter at the highest level, you know, in the UFC. And I know at one point, correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, but he was like a special forces, correct?
That's correct.
And then before that, in the City of God, when you grew up, were you ever, did you ever get into trouble, or were you always kind of on the straight path?
Você quando morava na cidade de Deus, você alguma vez se meteu com problema ou você sempre teve um caminho correto?
No. I always had great parents.
Oh, nice. Good.
So I always was straight there.
Good guy. Good boy.
Yeah. Good education. So never.
Was it difficult to avoid the bad people in City of God? The temptations?
Foi difícil evitar as pessoas ruins na cidade de Deus?
No, because I lived there for a long time, so I know a lot of people. So my friends, so respect me a lot.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Were you always big for your size, for your age?
Você sempre foi grande pela sua idade?
Yeah. I very tall, but como fala magro?
Skinny.
Skinny, yeah.
Not like
I
me.
was skinny.
I'm skinny?
No, not like you.
All right. No, you know what? I've seen the City of God through the movie, but I've also been in favelas before when I traveled to Brazil. I've seen Rocinha, and I've seen Vidigal. Yeah, I have friends there. And it was fascinating to me when I went to visit. It doesn't matter where you are in this world. It doesn't matter how much money you have or material. It's about family and friends. And I felt so much love when I was there.
Yeah.
We had a great dinner, barbecue, and drinks. I loved it. I loved being there. I've never seen City of God, though, but perhaps one day. But at least I've been able to experience a favela.
Yeah, the Brazil has a great people, great population. Fala amigável.
Very friendly.
Very friendly and respectful. Respectful, yeah.
All right. Now, this is Thiago Santos. He's going to be headlining UFC 239 versus Jon Jones next Saturday. So a week from this Saturday, it's the biggest card of the year. It's International Fight Week. There's the World MMA Awards. There's the Hall of Fame. And then, of course, there's UFC 239 featuring our guest here along with his manager, Alex Davis. All right, Goes, what do you have for Thiago Santos?
Thiago, when you look at Jon Jones and all of the guys that have lost to him, is there one thing that you can point to that all of the guys that have lost, kind of like one mistake that they've all made, that they all have in common?
Você, olhando para as pessoas que o Jon Jones venceu, tem um erro que todos eles cometeram?
Let me see. Todos, como fala todo mundo, todos eles?
All of them?
All of them shows Johnny's fight. You know what I mean? Johnny's to fight, but I don't show him. I will do uh, for make my fight, not uh,
His fight.
his fight.
I actually agree with that. We've said that quite a few times on this show.
Yeah.
Now, when you fight him, you're gonna beat him, which would make you the champion. And I imagine Jon Jones is the type of guy that they may give an immediate rematch to. Is that immediate rematch in your mind Rio de Janeiro, Brazil?
I understand. I don't know. My focus in July 6th. We let's see what happened July 6th and before. Uh, we are to see.
In a fight of this magnitude, such a big fight, they a lot of people study the opponent. Obviously, sometimes people even talk about who the referee is going to be that night. They say referees have different types of styles. Some stand you up a little quicker. Some call fouls a little quicker. That night, your referee is going to be Herb Dean. Do you like Herb Dean? Do you enjoy him reffing fights?
Yes,
Good
I
choice.
like
Yeah.
good referee. I respect him. I hope um, this fight will be the the fight que prevaleça o respeito e as regras.
I hope that what this fight, the rule
The
of the
clean fight.
rules and clean fight, the
The
rule
clean
of,
fight.
of respect and rules.
No eye pokes.
No eye pokes.
Yes.
Is that what you mean, or
We uh, we can have a war, but respect
gotcha?
and clean.
You know,
Gotcha.
when the referee calls for the action to start, what do you anticipate? What do you think will be the last thought that goes through your head right before that fight starts? And same question for you, Alex. What do you think will be the last thing that pops in your mind?
Quando começar a luta, qual vai ser uma última coisa que vai passar na tua cabeça?
Quando começar a luta,
No momento que começou a luta, o juiz mandou, começou. Qual vai ser o último pensamento que você vai ter?
that I need make him feel pain.
Pain. Oh,
Pain.
wow.
How about you,
That's the
Alex?
last thought. Wow. Okay.
How about you, Alex? What do you think will be going through your mind? Is
You
it always
know,
the same or different?
It's difficult for me because it's a guy I love a lot, and I'll be translating and I'll be ringside, so I have to kind of blank out and focus on my job there, and forget the emotions I feel for him. So at that moment, I'll be wishing for the best, but I got to concentrate.
That's true. So, Alex, if you're listening, you recognize the voice. He does a lot of the translating for the UFC. And if you're watching, then you'll obviously recognize this is the guy that jumps into the octagon and does a lot of the translations, regardless if it's his guys like Lineker or Santos or any of the other fighters that it represents, Barbosa. So, yeah, Alex is all over the place. And, again, we're very thankful for you guys popping in here to the studio to chat with us. We've got to take a quick break, so let's do that. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation, channel 156. Folks, you know what I do when we have an in-studio guest? Well, I'm going to ask him for a couple stories, so we'll see if we can pull a couple out of our guest, Thiago Santos, who headlines UFC 239 next Saturday, July 6th, here in Las Vegas. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Participation awards. They have boxes of gold stars that they purchase themselves. They are the legends and demand your respect. Here are George and Goes.
We're in studio here with Thiago Santos, the headliner for UFC 239, and his manager, Alex Davis, who also is one of the translators for the Ultimate Fighting Championship. All right, let's have a little bit of fun, Thiago. You and your guys, you guys are all tall. Are you guys basketball players? Did you play other sports in Brazil or what?
No. Those is my coach, and my partner,
Training partner.
MMA fighter too.
Yeah. You play football or basket? When you were a boy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was boy, I like football. I try professional football, but not better.
What position?
Fighter.
What position?
Attack.
Forward?
Attack.
Forward, yeah.
Oh, numero 9?
Yeah.
Striker.
Oh.
Yeah, striker.
Yeah.
Always a striker.
Always a striker. Well, because you're tall, you could be center back as well.
But
defense. But
I was esqueci, magro.
That was skinny.
Skinny, so
Like
fast.
me? Oh,
No,
opposite.
not that you.
Okay,
Yeah,
opposite,
opposite.
yeah.
Yeah, but fast
Mhm.
and my kicks in the ball in the very strong. So kicks in the
The goal.
the goal.
Yeah.
The goleiro running.
Yeah. Did you have a little dance when you scored a goal? Did you have a?
No.
You celebrate?
No, I don't dance.
No?
No.
No. Okay. What about when you're at the discoteca? Can you dance? You have good moves?
I like funk. No, my music entrance in the octagon. It is a funk Brazilian funk.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Alex,
I like.
Alex was letting me listen to a little bit of funk earlier, but anyway, that's a whole separate story. All right, another thing I want to ask the other thing I want to ask the in studio. That's just a joke, man. It's just a joke. The only thing I want to ask the in studio guest is, can you share a good street fight story with us?
Você pode dividir uma boa briga de rua, uma luta, uma história numa briga de rua.
Como?
Se você tem alguma história de briga de rua, você já brigou alguma vez, viu?
Yeah, when I was kid.
Okay, what age?
Yeah.
How old?
80 years
8.
old.
Okay,
Yeah,
what happened?
80 years old.
This is in City of God?
Yeah.
Okay.
The other guy
Take your time.
take my
This is school?
bola de gude com
My marble.
marble. Yeah,
Okay.
but
This is a school or in the street?
the street.
Some guy goes, give me that.
Yeah.
And what did you say? What did you say?
What?
O que você falou?
Eu pedi.
I asked for it back.
Yeah,
Right.
back, but
Ele falou o quê?
no.
No.
So I would have punching.
Oh,
your
that was
face.
it, right there.
Yeah.
Wow.
What
All right.
was kid?
Did you knock him out?
Yeah. No.
Did you make him cry?
Was kid. Yeah, cry.
And he give you the ball
Cry
back?
and running.
He ran?
Yeah.
Okay. And then was it over, or did he have friends or brothers or cousins, and did it continue, or that was it?
Acabou, tinha
Yeah,
outros familiares.
No, what? Other friends separate.
Yeah. And did you get a reputation at that point?
Você teve uma reputação depois disso?
No. This I always was very shy.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Not fighting.
Let me try this question in Portuguese. En esse momento, você nasceu marreta? Quando você pegou outro...
No.
No. Quando?
I think
When did you get the marreta, the sledgehammer nickname?
Marreta born when my first championship, the Muay Thai. Muay Thai fight, Muay Thai. Tournament. Yeah, 3 times in night.
All
3
knockouts?
times. Yeah, 3 guys knockout.
Thiago's got 21 wins, 15 by knockout. He's won 8 of his last 9. He's won 4 in a row, and he's actually had 7 of those 8 wins all by knockout. This guy's a human highlight film, and his fight versus Jon Jones is going to be one hell of a headliner. I can't wait. Go ahead, Alex. What were you going to say?
The thing about Thiago is he fights the way that everybody wants to see the fight go. You know, he risks his ass. He goes out and he puts it online. You know, and usually with him, or he knocks him out, or he gets knocked out, one or the other. You know, and that's what the risk that he takes and the way he fights, and the way that he goes out there and lets it all hang out is what everybody wants to see. It's what the sports want to see, and I'm really happy in his case that he's getting the rewards for it, because sometimes a lot of people don't get that reward. He deserves it. He goes up there and he risks himself, like with Manua. Who would have gone out there with Manua?
Oh my God, that fight was so violent.
He told his trainer, said, "I'm not going to use a strategy. I'm going to go out there and bang." You know, and so it's so good to see somebody do that and get the reward for those risks, because so many other people don't get that reward. Mm-hmm. You know, it's what I talk about, the fight grading system. He fights in a way that everybody wants to see.
And he's had 6 bonuses in his last 8 fights. Sua luta,
Not bad.
con Manua,
Yep.
violent, man. That was one of the most violent.
Yeah,
I was watching on TV and I could hear boom, thump, boom, thump. It looked like a video game.
Yeah, I'm very shy. I'm very calm, but when I enter in the octagon, I like a lot to do the people's feel pain.
Yeah,
I like in the octagon, just okay.
Oh yeah, we've seen it. I understand exactly what you're saying. Hey, how about in your time working with the elite forces? How was that for you? You know, is that something that you will ever go back to, or are you retired from that completely?
Saindo das forças de elite, você voltaria a isso?
Yes, I like.
After MMA, você
like.
voltar para isso?
Yeah, if I can, I return.
Now,
I
was
like.
it similar to
Two
before?
things I like a lot:
Okay.
fight and mission. We are mission the gun.
Okay.
And parachutes.
Oh yeah, you like the parachute too?
Yeah.
Is the adrenaline, the feeling, is it similar?
Adrenaline is same.
Yeah?
The same. When you walk for the octagon, same you walk in the airplane for jump.
Oh, okay. Before you
The
jump out of the
adrenaline.
airplane,
Yeah.
the same adrenaline as walking to
Yeah.
the octagon.
It's very good.
Have you ever done hang gliding? How do you say that in Portuguese?
Asa Delta.
As a
Já
Delta?
fez?
No.
No parachute.
No.
I do
I-
that.
But as a Delta, when
It's-
you jump,
Uh-huh.
you don't have
Parachute.
security. No, yeah, parachute security.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Well, he means it's safer on the parachute. than
Right,
with
that's
the
what I
hang
was trying to
glider.
tell him.
Yeah.
I did Delta in San Cojal, right next to Barra de Tijuca.
Good.
I did that one time,
Yeah.
20 years ago. Much skinnier.
I jumped through there, but
It was scary, man.
The
A little bit of
parachute.
adrenaline. I can't go in the octagon. I can't jump out of a plane, but I did Delta one time.
yeah.
So that's
Good,
my
good.
only experience with that
That's
type of
good.
adrenaline.
Good.
All right. Now, who you said your mom and dad raised you well? Are your mom and dad still with us? I don't know, but how big is his family, and what do they think of his career as an MMA fighter? And I'm
Sua
sure they're
pai-
very proud.
Seu pai e sua mãe ainda estão com a gente. O que eles sabem, o que eles acham da sua carreira?
My mother, yes, but my father, death.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And 210. 2010.
2010 he passed away.
2010, yeah, 2010. After my first fight,
Okay.
15 days.
15 days after your first fight. So he saw you fight one time.
Yeah.
Wow. But imagine all this time later, you're going to be able to get to fight at a high level for a world title. I'm sure your dad would be proud. Your athletic skills, did they come from your mom, dad, or were they both athletic individuals?
Sua habilidade atlética veio da sua mãe, do seu pai, veio dos dois.
I always practice sports, football or running, swimming. I always like practicing some sports.
Right.
So when I was kids,
Right.
practicing a lot of sports. I think that after entering the special force,
Hmm.
this is good too.
Are you gonna watch Copa America, the soccer tournament that's
Yeah.
happening in Brazil? Are you watching?
Você vai ver a Copa América que está acontecendo no Brasil?
No, because Brazil.
Brazil's eliminated.
Yeah.
They're out.
Brazil?
Isn't Brazil out?
No, I think you should still be in.
Let me check.
Não é só no futebol feminino que a mulher saiu. Copa América não.
Oh, yeah, for the feminine.
Not the women's
the
World Cup.
Yeah,
but-
he's talking about, yeah.
But
Feminina, no
feminine,
mais.
Yeah, no, yeah,
But Brazil plays Paraguay tomorrow,
yeah.
and there's 8 teams left. So Brazil versus Paraguay.
Yeah.
Our mom from Peru.
Oh,
So Peru plays Uruguay,
Argentina
Argentina against Venezuela, Colombia against Chile, Brazil against
Yeah,
Paraguay.
I will be watching.
What
I
are
will
your
be
What are your
watching.
predictions? Brazil versus Paraguay. Who wins? Quem gana?
Brazil, of course.
Quanto?
2-1.
Okay. Colombia versus Chile.
Chile.
Venezuela versus Argentina.
Venezuela.
Peru versus Uruguay.
Uruguay.
Our mom's from Peru. You can't say Peru.
I'm sorry.
I know. All right. Hey, Thiago, thank you so much for coming to MMA Junkie Radio to spend some time with us. I hope you have safe workouts, a safe weight cut, and go out there and have the fight of your life against Jon Jones. He's a great champion, but you're a great challenger, and this is a great fight, and we can't wait to see it.
Thank you so much for opportunity. A pleasure for me. And I hope come back
With the belt.
before, yes,
Con cinturón.
with my belt.
All right.
Nice.
And Alex, if you don't mind, can you clarify what's the update on John Lineker? You were just out there with him in Florida, and he was not able to fight. It was a fight we were all looking forward to, but I guess you're his manager. You're as close as someone could be to the situation.
Yeah, I'm lost. I don't know what his future is going to be. I mean, he got cut. It was I think he might have been able to stay in the fight, but he decided not to. It was a co-main event. This was his decision. I mean, of course, it's his. I always say it's his ass that goes up in the octagon, so it was finally his decision. He took the decision, and it was a co-main event, and I do not know what the UFC's attitude is going to be towards that.
Right.
I'll let the dust settle, concentrating on him right now, and let's let that dust settle and see what happens.
Okay. Well, you got an amazing stable of fighters, and it's always great when you are able to bring them by and allow us to spend some time. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you, George. Thanks
And
so much, guys.
same thing, man. You're part of Team Santos, so our best to you as well on next Saturday.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to discuss some unfortunate news in our sport. BJ Penn's in a little bit of trouble. Desmond Green is in a lot of trouble. So we'll discuss that when we come back. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation, channel 156.
All jokes aside, George and Goes are some of the best chicks I know. Here we go with more verbal sparring. Take it away, ladies.
Tonight, the U.S. men's national team continues its quest for Gold Cup glory with a battle against Panama. SiriusXM FC Channel 157 is getting you set for the match with pregame coverage right now. Listen to the match at 9 Eastern on Fox Sports on SiriusXM Channel 83. Then come back to Channel 157 after the final whistle for post-game analysis. It's all streaming on your phone and at home on SiriusXM connected devices and speakers. And speaking of United States soccer, let's switch from the men to the women. The women will be playing a quarterfinal matchup in the Women's World Cup, and it's versus the host country of France, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, and Goes and I will be here at the Mandalay Bay studio, and we'll be doing one of our watch-alongs on Sportscaster. It's sportscaster.com/MMA Junkie. We'll be watching the game with UFC flyweight Jessica Evil Eye. So we'll hang out with her. We'll watch the women hopefully get past that host team that's pretty good. The French team's pretty good. They're the ones that eliminated Brazil. And, of course, that'll take them to hopefully the semifinals. Now, the next day, Goes and I will be doing a watch-along on Sportscaster for UFC on ESPN3, headlined by Francis Ngannou versus Junior Dos Santos. All right, now, some unfortunate news in our sport. Two of them, actually. One of them was a story that popped up after we kind of did our prep work, on our show call earlier today. I'll start off with the one that's been, out there in the news for about 24 hours now. TMZ put out a video of basically BJ Penn in an altercation with a strip club bouncer. Now, the video on TMZ doesn't show much other than Penn, I guess if you want to get technical, kind of like in side mount on this bouncer. Not much really happens other than when he does appear to finally want to get up, because it's about a minute of the same thing. There's really not much going on. I mean, if you want to stick with MMA jargon, the referee, I think the fans would have called for a stand-up. Mm-hmm. So the guys come in to kind of separate it, and I think BJ Penn's letting them know, hey, I'll let you up, but you need to calm down. And then the other guy kind of starts getting a little physical on the ground, and so BJ Penn, as he comes back down towards him to control him, because the other guy's obviously bigger, BJ starts throwing a couple strikes, but then one of that guy's homies lands a couple on BJ Penn. He gets a shove for his loyalty, and he's even telling the guys, what do you want? He's serving up my boy. You can hear a little bit of that. And then apparently that was pretty much it. I mean, that's when the video kind of ends. We hear that the cop showed up, but by then Penn had fled the scene.
He threw 3 of those, and BJ was almost like a mosquito, right?
He didn't
really even react to it. What are you thinking if you're that friend? Like, Jesus, how am I going to get this guy off my boy?
Right. I mean, exactly. He didn't even feel that, and let's say BJ Penn said, oh, you want some too? I mean, you're in some deep water there, you know what I mean? So that guy was brave to try and get in there. I appreciate his loyalty, but look, the bigger story here is the sad plight of the former champ, man. Look, now there's these alleged domestic abuse problems. If you guys recall, there was a problem with a neighbor and a machete. And now this isn't good. If you've ever met BJ Penn, and we've been fortunate enough to interview him on our show and just get to know him, he seems like a really calm and chill, relaxed Hawaiian fella. Now, I know he got in some trouble way back, I think it was like 2004, 2005, back when I was a listener of the MMA Weekly show, Sound Off. I remember BJ had a problem with a police officer. But I think back then, that was like 15 years ago, and so he was like mid-20s. I was just thinking hothead incident, youth, younger dude. Still an adult, but whatever. And now he's 40, the father of 2, professional athlete for many years, adored by a whole state. And I this just doesn't seem in line for how a 40-year-old should be conducting themselves. Now, to be fair, we don't know how I got to this, but according to the report, the club's manager said Penn was removed from the establishment because he was behaving in a very drunk manner. Mm-hmm. So, that's kind of all we really know. There's always 2 sides to a story, and for a lot of you pervs that want to know where this occurred, it occurred at Club Femme New.
But even if you don't know what happened in the club, wouldn't you say that because of the troubles that he's been having, one should just say maybe he shouldn't be there in the first place? That's pretty fair to say, right?
In fact, not only not be there, but let's just say you're there. Let's just say, oh, your boys dragged you out at somebody in the crew's bachelor party. And then trouble starts. You would think that someone that's in the kind of predicaments he's found himself in these incidences that have been alleged, that he would say, guys, I need to get out of here because that trouble is awaiting us here, and I just can't have that. And so you're right, goes. A lot of red flags should have gone up before it even got to this. Luckily, nothing worse than this happened. Again, from what we see of the video, he's already on top. A couple of strikes land, but really, it's not one of the better ones, if you want me to put it that way. And we just hope that in the end nobody's seriously hurt, and if they dismiss this as boys will be boys and no one's pressing charges, I hope that's the final wake-up call for BJ Penn to maybe realize that he probably needs help. I don't know too much about him. I've never really known him. I've never heard stories of him being like a drunk. Could be that he's just a lightweight, had a couple, and then people turn into not themselves, we shall say, when they do drink. But along with some of the other troubles that he's had, man, that's kind of what I mean is, why is he finding himself in these situations? I don't even know, whether to say psychological help, alcoholic anonymous type of help, or just maybe violent rage, that type of help. I don't know. I don't even know where to start. All I know is that there's too many stories too close together, and that shouldn't be happening. This guy came from a wealthy family, and he's probably done pretty well for himself. I mean, he's got a UFC gym, and hopefully it's still open. Hopefully the doors are still open there. A website, and I don't know. I mean, he recently fought, so I got to imagine he's doing okay, right?
A lot of people point to money, but think about it. BJ Penn is a guy that comes from a smaller place who's always been top dog. And that's kind of been his identity for a very long time. When you take that away from someone and they're still trying to get it back, that's difficult to deal with psychologically. And I think he's in that world right now of trying to figure out maybe who he is or what. The thing that stood out to me from listening to the video was the way his friend was telling him, like, we got to go. Like, you got to stop this. If you listen to the tone in his voice, it was just kind of like a desperate tone. Like, I just don't know what to do anymore. BJ, come on. We got to go. You got to stop. That was troubling to me.
I would agree. All right. Now, this pales in comparison to the other story that we heard. So, do you remember May 18th? Same card that had, I believe it was Kevin Lee and RDA at the top of the bill out in Rochester, New York. I also had a gentleman who was coming home, and he had just had probably the biggest win of his career. His name is Desmond Green. He had defeated Charles Jourdain on that card. Well, Desmond Green was arrested and jailed last night on 20 separate charges, including DUI manslaughter stemming from his alleged role in a car crash this past August that left 2 women dead. He's still in custody in Broward County. This is in Florida. And he's on bonds totaling almost $200,000 goes. A warrant was issued for his arrest on June 19th, and so now he's been arrested and he's being held. But he's got charges of 2 second-degree felony counts of DUI manslaughter, 4 third-degree felony counts of DUI causing serious bodily injury, third-degree felony possession of cocaine, 5 misdemeanor counts of DUI property damage, third-degree felony driving with a suspended license. The crash happened last August 18th in the early morning. It was on a Florida freeway. And allegedly what happened was Green veered his 2011 Dodge Durango into the path of a truck that had a trailer in the next lane, and it caused like a chain reaction, and it involved 3 other vehicles, and it resulted in the 2 deaths. But, wow, that is a lot. And he's also had multiple convictions in Florida and New York for driving without a license. There's a lot of responsibility of this man behind a vehicle.
I think that's what makes the whole thing so sad is there's, or maybe not sad really, but there's been so many, if you read the report, like so many little wake-up calls, and things just kept getting worse and worse and worse until we got to this point where now forget about your fighting career, right? It's your life, really, that you're fighting for, not spending the rest of your life behind bars. Those are terrible things.
It sure is.
Take one away. Everything that you're left with is still brutal.
It sure is. Yeah. All right. We're going to take one more break here, and then when we come back, we'll do our daily debate. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation, channel 156. Stay close, and we'll be right back. Let me get the daily debate ready.
Oh, no.
The brothers Garcia seemingly can't agree on anything.
Everybody knows it's duck season.
Rabbit season.
Duck season.
Rabbit season.
Whether it's food,
Less filling.
Tastes great.
Less filling.
Tastes great.
gambling,
Always bet on black.
I like red.
Black.
Red.
Black.
Red.
Black, dummy.
or even social media,
Instagram.
Snapchat.
Instagram.
Snapchat.
the same applies to the biggest stories in MMA. Time for MMA Junkie Radio's Daily Debate.
Today's daily debate question for the MMA Junkie Radio team: do you want #UFC Hall of Famer BJ Penn to finally retire from MMA, from fighting? I guess is what it says. Yes or no? Please expand. Go first.
You are going to be surprised by what I'm about to say. I don't want him to stop fighting. But let me explain why.
Why?
I feel like maybe fighting is something that can at least keep him in a direction of trying to better himself. keeping him from just being alone with himself, with money. Fighting can be therapy, I think, for BJ Penn. He was top dog for a long time, and now he's got to live with not being that guy anymore. Some people can sit back and go, well, look at all the accomplishments I made, and that's good enough for them. But BJ's that rare guy that I think he just needs fighting in his life. And to be honest, with all the troubles he's having, I'm afraid of what he would do without it.
Doesn't it sound like he should be with his family, though? He's having problems at home. He's the father of 2 beautiful girls. Maybe more time there, less time in the gym.
Maybe not fighting in the UFC.
Better. Maybe that could be therapy, is being with the family and being with them and helping them, making them their lunches, taking them to school, bringing them back to school. I mean, again, this is from all accounts, from what I hear, a wealthy man. Mm-hmm. And 2 goes, he's in the UFC, and Jesus, we just went through a series of cuts where Dana White carefully explained certain fighters, just when they're not there anymore at a certain level, they shouldn't be there, and yet he keeps getting more fights. Now,
he should be able to do both, George.
Granted, I really liked the way he fought in the Guida fight, even though he lost. A couple fights before that, it didn't resemble somebody that was prepared for a UFC fight. In the Guida fight, he actually fought pretty well. And that was his latest fight, but I don't know, man.
I think he needs it in his life. I really do. And come on, man. There's fighters every day that are taking their kids to school and going to, I don't know, dance recitals or whatever.
How long can he keep fighting for? How long are you going to be?
Nobody has said that it has to be at the UFC level. You know, he can do it at a different level, a little better of a pace. Even like competing and grappling, but I think he needs some sort of competition in his life. I think that's just the dude he is.
Isn't there any form of therapy he can get aside from that? Because he can't fight forever.
True.
So what's he going to do when the camps run out?
I think a lot of people, the adrenalines are kind of similar. I don't know. Cliff diving, whatever they do out there, who knows? Something, though, because you're right, you can't fight forever.
So whether it's in the UFC or outside the UFC, you want him to continue fighting?
I think it's what's going to keep him safe right now, to be honest.
Now, at the same time goes, the latest incident was him getting drunk. Mm-hmm. Then there was an alleged incident with the wife and some domestic abuse, violence, threats. Then there was an incident with the neighbor. Could all of this also come from pugilistic dementia? And could you be guiding him in going back to camps for him to be taking even more damage?
It's possible, but I mean, they have the best doctors, you know. He's passing tests. When we talk to him, sounds fine. Mm-hmm.
All right, well, that does surprise me. 93% said yes, they do want him to retire, because almost over 1,100 votes came in. 93% said yes. It was really, really one-sided. 7% said no. Here's a couple from Junkie Nation, the readers of the site and the listeners of the show. This is JVic0420. I can tell the difference between an O and a 0. He says, if anyone votes no, they have to hate BJ Penn. I got to ask you guys, do you hate BJ Penn?
I like BJ Penn.
Okay. The next one, George, shout out to @OliGeorge. He says, yeah, he might be seen as he's ruining his legacy, which he isn't. But if the bloke is fit, healthy, and in good frame of mind and wants to continue to fight, let him be. What is he, a Beatle? Jesse Richards the Mormon Jesus. He says, fair point, but he isn't any of those things. Meaning fit, healthy, and in good frame of mind. Anyway, again, thank you to everybody that chimed in here on the Daily Debate. All right, we got a call here, and it's from Bill in South Carolina. He wants to continue the conversation about BJ Penn. What you got, Bill? How you doing?
Hey, George. Hey, guys. Love the show. Hey, guys, you just stole my thunder, George. I really think we're missing the CTE problem that could really be going on here. You know, he's a 40-year-old fighter, been in some wars, really a lot of training, and a great fighter, and I love the guy, but, you know, maybe this is some of those stars we're starting to see that are starting to suffer from some of this training and trauma in fighting. You know, I'm a doctor by trade in emergency medicine, and, you know, those are things I'm starting to feel.
Yes, and that's something that scares me, because there's a lot, if you go on Twitter, there's a lot of past and current fighters who you can just tell I don't know if it's, I think it's a little bit of the CTE, but it's a little bit of the crash that one's career takes, whether it be losses, the less notoriety and fame that you get, and also I think the love from your friends and family and fans who, when you're winning and you're on top, you're the toast of the town, and then you couple of losses, you lose a sponsor, and then all of a sudden people aren't, buying drinks at the bar for you or picking up your dinners, and I think it's just a crash fall there, and I had a feeling that our sport would go through this, but I felt like the sport is 26 years old, and so we're now just getting through a generation of fighters who are going to, be experiencing that, and that to me is scary because I lived through that in pro wrestling. I'm telling you, man, about 15, 20 years ago, there was probably a 10-year span where 20 fighters just took their own lives, and it was scary. I was like, whoa, what the hell? What is happening here? And now, granted, we're not at that level in our sport, but our sport also has the luxury of learning from boxing, pro wrestling, other combat sports, other sports, and I'm hoping that we can curb that because, look, man, I'm a realist here. I realize that there's going to be some big falls from grace for a lot of fighters, but hopefully it's not like that. You know what I mean? In our sport, hopefully it's not to those levels. So,
yeah, I'm afraid it may be headed that way just because of what we're starting to see. And Ghost has a good point though. I mean, what's he going to do, and how do we fill that void? And I think that's something that maybe they want to start as a group of fighters start to address that. As we get a little older. What are we going to do from here? We have to have some outlets like, other leagues may have some other outlets for that, as well as, the CTE and the psychological counseling they're going to need, just not only from the damage of fighting, but from not having a career and being able to do what you've loved for so long. I get it. I mean, I was an amateur athlete, low level, obviously, but yeah, it's hard to say, hey, I can't do this anymore.
Right. But guess where all that starts, Bill?
I understand.
Guess where all that starts in other sports?
I
League
completely.
associations. The player associations and unions, they're the ones that fight for the players because a lot of the past players make the sacrifices so that the future players can make more money and get more benefits and learn from their mistakes and their trials and tribulations. And so it's going to take former and current fighters to hopefully collectively, combat the sports league, whatever sports league it is, which in this case we're often usually refer to the UFC, so that they can fight for their rights.
I think you and Bill are both right, and I personally feel like the Fertitas sold because of that. Associations, because of head trauma and CTE. I really think they saw all that coming and they said, you know what, we made our money, let's go.
Could be, or they could just say, hey, we made a lot of money and we need to go. But thanks, Bill. That's a great call, and thank you very much for calling in. All right, folks, we're at the top of the hour break, so we're going to come back in 60 seconds. We'll discuss some of the latest news. Goes was at Dana White Contender Series, so he'll talk about his experience there. It was week 2. I went in week 1. I already talked about that. Goes went in week 2. He can talk about that. And guess what? It is confirmed Daniel Cormier will join us at 6:15 Pacific, 9:15 Eastern, so that's in approximately 15 minutes. We'll be right back. It's the MMA Junkie Radio Show on Fight Nation Channel 156.
both iPhone and Gorgeous George and Goes.
All right, so yesterday, Goes was at the Dana White Contender Series. That's why Richard Hunter was here with me from the Phone Booth Fighting Podcast.
You don't think that's impressive at all?
What?
Jael freestyling like that?
It does sound like him, huh?
That was dope.
Yeah. Jael, who's this girl from Chipotle flirting with you? Tell me about that.
So every single day I go down to Chipotle to get my usual.
Every day? Every day you have Chipotle?
Yeah, so there's not a lot of stuff.
I thought I was a
here.
beast. I go maybe once or twice a
for,
week.
well, for the most part, like there's not a lot of stuff to eat over here in Midtown, and the other stuff is just expensive as hell.
Mm-hmm.
So, balling on a budget as I am, I just usually just go downstairs to Chipotle, grab a half chicken, half steak bowl. There's always this girl downstairs, and she's always flirting with me, but she never gives me free food. It's really weird.
Rice
I
and
might
beans?
just tell her to stop talking to me.
Go through the order first, and then we'll talk about the flirting.
All right, so then I go. It's a bowl.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I get a tortilla on the side, let them warm it up.
Why don't you just get the burrito?
Brown rice. I don't like the burritos. Like, I don't like the way that I want to mix my food on my own. I don't want them to mix it for me. So
okay.
I get
I'm starting
brown
to know
rice.
why she's not giving him free food.
So I get brown rice,
pinto
beans. Sometimes I get black beans.
Yeah.
Salsa, corn, guac.
Which salsa? There's 3.
The tomato one.
The really hot one or the one that's chopped up with onions?
The chopped up one. The chopped up one.
Okay.
Chopped up one. Yeah.
You lost
so
me
half
there,
chicken, half steak.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Guac?
It's a simple order.
Sour
guac,
cream?
Of course. You get no sour cream. I'm not a big sour cream guy.
Cheese?
Just a little dab of it. Not that much. Just sprinkle it on there.
Corn?
Like Salt Bae does. Just sprinkle a little bit. Corn, of course. And, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Do you ask for
the girl
chips
downstairs,
and a soda, or do you just water guy?
So I ask for water, but you don't actually get water.
You're one of those guys, huh? You sneak over there
Ball
and get
on the
soda?
budget. Ball on the budget, man.
Jael, you want a trick?
Sure,
you know how you do half chicken, half steak? As soon as they put down that second scoop, go, you know what? I'm in a good mood. Actually, let's do double. Dude, it's actually going to feel like triple because they have to match that first scoop that they gave you. If you tell them double from the beginning, they're going to give you 75 and 75. Okay? But if you make them put the full scoop and then tell them you want the double, you're lucky it's not in a burrito or that thing would burst.
Wise words. I might try that.
Well, you might as well take it further, Goes. Tell him how he should get the meat first and then go back and get the rice and beans.
Yeah.
Because if they know you're getting
first, I've never seen that get done.
If you're getting
because he's a bowl guy.
If you're getting but he gets that tortilla. So if you did ever come to Team Burrito, then you want to get the meat first. Because what happens is when they lay down the rice and the beans, they're actually budgeting space, so they won't give you too much. But if you go the other way first and get the meat first, right, Goes?
No. So what you do is you tell them whatever rice you want.
Right.
Just don't get the beans. Just go, now I'm not in the mood.
Right. That's right. And then they'll give you more rice.
Yeah, then they go, what kind of meat do you want? So then you say, chicken. So then they get a big old scoop and they put it in.
Yeah.
And then
sometimes they'll get a little scoop after that.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's when you go, give me double.
That's
and then
when
they
you go,
got to
"Give me
match
double."
the full scoop and the little.
Because now they know you're watching them. So they got to match it. And then right when they're getting ready to move on, they're already kind of like, damn, he got me. That's when you go, you know what, them beans do look good. Then they have to go back. They put the beans. Because if you do it the other way around, they're going to give you all rice and beans and just a little bit of chicken.
Right, because they don't want the burrito to burst.
You guys just changed a lot of lives tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, now get to the part where who's flirting? The tortilla maker, the cashier, who?
So sometimes it's different. You know, sometimes she's making the food. Sometimes she's at the cashier. But she usually says, like, she has to be the same line every single time. She's like, you look really familiar. And I'm
you're
just
there every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably thinks you're a coworker.
You see me every day, but she's like, I know you from somewhere.
Uh-huh.
But like today, I actually went along with it. I was just like, yeah, I think I've met you before. I'm not sure from where.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully next time I go back downstairs, I get a free bowl. We'll see what happens. I'll keep you updated.
Please.
But what if you hit her with, yeah, of course you know me. I'm that guy that took you out. And then when she goes, wait, you haven't taken me out. And you go, you sure? What are you doing tonight? Boom!
I would have used that if I didn't have a girlfriend.
Oh, my God.
Oh, what are we doing here?
Might as well start with that. Okay. Dana White Contender Series 18 took place last night. Here are your winners. Tony Johnson defeated Alton Cunningham. Justin Gonzalez defeated Zach Zane. Kyle Dacus defeated Michael Lombardo. Miles John defeated Richie Santiago. Miguel Baiza defeated Victor Reina. They were all unanimous decisions. What stands out to you there, Goes, from what I just went over, other than me butchering 3 of the names?
Well, it was the first Dana White Contender Series that ever had all fights go to decision.
No finishes. And
it
how about
was
that?
A long night.
No split decisions. These were dominant fight with the exception of the last one. Well, no, actually, the first and last one had rounds where both parties won. So 29-28 varieties. But there was no splits. But the other ones were like, wow, I see some 30-25, 30-26s. So this was a long night, huh? You felt it?
It was a very long night.
Even though it was the brand new state-of-the-art Apex Center, you weren't pumped up?
Oh, no. I mean, it was still fun. But it did have a different, kind of what you were saying, a different type of feel. But on top of that, I feel like from week 1 to week 2, there was still even another type of feel because we saw the statement that Dana White made in week 1, right? I think the fighters knew it.
Killers.
Yeah, so as we're watching it, it's almost like every second that somebody's not getting knocked out is agonizing for friends and family and fighters because they just know they're not delivering on what the boss wants, right? So it had this weird feeling as it's going on. We were just telling each other, like, there's no way that guy gets the contract, right? There's no way. This is going into round 2. He don't like round 2. He definitely doesn't like round 3. Dana White cleared that up after the presser. We'll get to that. But the first fight, I think, was the most entertaining fight. And I think we all kind of had the feeling like we think this guy may get a contract, but we'll see how the night plays out. But as everything kept going to decision, I personally and the people that were around me, we all felt like the guy from the first fight was going to get the contract, possibly. But after that, that's it. And Dana White came back. He awarded 2 contracts. But he also said that there were a couple other fighters that impressed him, but they just didn't seem like they were ready yet. And my question in the presser was, what do you do with these people? If they're not ready yet, then what does that mean? They got to go back and get a couple fights? Is it just one fight? Because we've seen fighters look completely different from one fight to the next. Plus, you got the Ultimate Fighter, right? When you walk into the Apex and you see the Ultimate Fighter jerseys up on the wall, well, can they go there? What separates the Ultimate Fighter from Dana White's Contender Series? What makes you say that guy's good for that and that guy's good for that? And as a manager, what makes you say this is better for my guy? I'd rather put him in through here. What the hell's going to happen with all that, George?
Who'd you ask? Dana?
Well, we came up with it after.
Oh, okay. I thought you said it the first. All right.
Yeah.
I was waiting for his answer. All right. That's a good point. You know, I think Dana likes not having the structure of being held accountable for certain criteria that's being met. He can just kind of make the decisions as they go. Because in the end, what's going to happen? A backlash from the media, a backlash from the fans. That makes him feel sleep better at night when he does get that. It used to bother him a long time ago, and it probably still does when it reaches the mainstream. But for the most part, I think he just likes being the bad guy. He doesn't mind ruffling the feathers. What he doesn't realize is that these are hopes and dreams of individual people. And I wish he would teleport himself back to maybe a UFC. Remember the UFC, one of the first UFCs that went over the 3 hour? And he was stressing, like, oh, my God, we're going to have to pay that big fine to the pay-per-view providers. And what that felt like when they didn't have that type of capital. Or when he had the Tito Ortiz or Randy Couture battles, you know, where he couldn't get these guys signed or whatever, contract negotiations. And how he felt like, wow, you know. Or have you ever heard him tell the story about when Big Frank, Big Fertitta Frank, told him, hey, man, we got to sell this thing. Start looking for a price. And how crushed he looked. That's the same feeling that Brandon Loughnane and all these other guys and gals that go in there without having to know, you know, what exactly they're auditioning for. That's the feeling they get when they feel like they've done enough, and yet it's not enough. Especially when you turn on your phone and see that 95% of the world that covers the sport or is a fan of the sport or is a notable of some sort says, you should have got in. You see what I'm saying? And so for him, it's no big deal, man. He's halfway to being a billionaire. I keep saying that. And he's got a lot of power and controls, you know, the organization, and a lot of people do love him. But still, there's a lot of people that are crushed by these decisions that he makes. And so here's another thing. He often says the only reason we know something is because he told us. Right, and that's called precedence. So when he's told us this is how we react at the Ultimate Fighting Championship, well, this is what we do at the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Well, guess what? When he makes an announcement and it goes against what he's told us for so many years, that's why we have that dumb look of, huh? Well, didn't he say back at UFC, blah, 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 the opposite? Look, I get it, man. Some of the MMA media, there's some jackals, all right? I can act like one at times. I get it.
I was just about to say
I'm not trying to say I'm up for a Pulitzer or anything like that, but there's a lot of great MMA media out there. A lot of hustlers, a lot of people that devote their lives, and they know what the fuck they're talking about. And I wish he would embrace that, man. They're just covering the sport and trying to make it better, but a lot of it does go through him because he is the figurehead of the company that really, really drives the sport. So going back to what you were saying, you're right. I'm thinking if the judges had it 30-26 for Justin Gonzalez against Zach Zane, that means every moment of it he had to literally be winding up and throwing something, or just going for some kind of a killer moment, I guess, because not only did he have to get the win, he had to get the finish. Mm-hmm. But not every fighter, even the great ones, they don't finish every single guy. Sometimes you just can't do it. But guess what? In the NFL, if you win the Super Bowl 7-0, didn't the Patriots just win 14-3?
Yeah.
Okay, it wasn't like 35-31 like we've seen some other barn burners, but it's still the same ring. It's still the same parade. It's still pretty great. Sometimes you just win a fight, and sometimes it's ugly, my man. You know what I mean? And that right there is dominance. If you can beat another guy that the matchmaker thought, hey, I think this is pretty even, but you dominate him like that, you should get a pretty serious look as well. Now, he did clarify. What did he say here? We have a quote on the front of MMA Junkie that says, oh, boy, great. Just when I need it, it's not there. Anyway.
Well, I was there. I could tell you what happened. He wasn't even really that aware that people were really coming at him at that, because you got to remember, as soon as that was over, he took off to China, so he was gone.
The last one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we were telling him these things, he was saying, "Look, I don't know why everybody's taking me at my word at that." He goes, "It's not like look at Puna. Puna went to decision." He goes, "I gave him a contract," which is true. I can't remember exactly who had asked him this, but somebody had asked him, well, what if there was just like a dominant wrestler? Kind of like Habib, right? It might have been John. Somebody whose first strength is wrestling and was completely dominant with it. Would you let him get a contract? And he said yes, as long as that guy is looking to finish fights. And I have to agree with him on that as well.
Okay. All right. Look, we had 2 contracts awarded yesterday, so congratulations to those 2 fighters. Baeza was one of them. Let me get these names here. It was Miguel Baeza and Miles Johns, if I'm not mistaken, was the ones that did get the contracts. So good on them, and maybe we can put that behind us or not. But like I said, I'm not going to beat this to death. It's not like Brandon Loughnane wakes up and worries about are my bills getting paid. I'm borrowing a Bronx tail line. I really felt like that kid should get a contract. I feel like he's UFC worthy.
He's a free agent. He could get a contract from someone else, right?
Part of the UK, man, where they have such a love for combat sports. I think he'd be just a great fighter for them to have in that part of the world. So guess what? What I'm appealing for is for the UFC to bring him back on the last Dana White Contender Series and have him go at it again. Simple as that. Overall, though, you kind of understood my feel comparing the little gym to the other gym. Like, it's great, man. It was... both experiences are great, but did you understand a couple of other things where just
a little bit.
The ability to kind of walk around and I think you're able to, like where I was seated last week, I could barely see Dane and the matchmakers, so I couldn't really see the reaction. Whereas the last time or the last season, I was on those bleachers and I was literally like 10 feet away, so I could see them. People are able to walk around a little bit more of the gym. It was just a little bit less of that constricted feel to your seat.
Well, we used to be able to watch fights at an Arby's. Now we're in a Costco, right? It's just bigger.
Yeah.
That was one feel. It felt like old WWE wrestling, WWF back then. the difference between going to like a Royal Rumble and a not dark match, but what do they call, like, house show. The old gym had like the house show feeling. You know, no music, none of that stuff. Like, there wasn't very much popping. Now you got these stories that they put up, which are pretty cool, but it also did kind of take away from a little bit of it. But it was still entertaining. That's just us nitpicking.
Yep. All right. Shout out again to Richard Hunter for facilitating this so that I can go 1 week and Ghost can go another week. So thanks again, buddy. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with DC, the UFC heavyweight champion.
And one of the greatest of all time, Gilroy High School wrestling coach Daniel Cormier. Good, you're still here. The boys were just getting warmed up. Now the real show begins. Take it away, boys.
All right. We got him. We tracked him down. His name's Daniel Cormier. He is the UFC heavyweight champion of the world, and he's on the hotline. What's up, DC? How are you? How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I was feeling really bad about the last couple of days. We got it done.
Did that music fire you up?
It got me fired up, man. It's been a long time since I've heard that song.
Yeah, and
coming up again, though.
Well, guess what?
Finally.
We were fired up the last 2 days when we thought we would hear your voice after playing that song, and then our producer had to tell us I couldn't find him, I couldn't track him down. So guess what, DC? Unfortunately,
you actually do me like that.
I got some.
Actually gonna do me like that.
I got some bad news. Yeah, I am. We are gonna do you like that. Goes you in on this, or is it all me?
Well, I wasn't here yesterday, so I only took the pain from Monday.
So check it out, DC. I realize you're the baddest man on the planet. I realize what I'm about to say is probably the dumbest thing for me to threaten.
Okay, I'm out on this.
Because I may actually be the worst Street Fighter of all time, but I gotta stand up for MMA Junkie Radio. So DC, we gotta tax your ass, all right? For missing 2 times in a row. We demand that the next time you're in Vegas, not only do you appear in studio, but you bring the belt. But guess what? Not the UFC belt. I've seen a bunch of those. I want to hold in my hands the Strike Force Grand Prix belt that you won like 6 or 7 years ago, man. That was such a great tournament, and I don't know. I just always thought those Grand Prix were pretty cool. So that's what we hope is the penalty that you will abide by.
Absolutely. I will absolutely do it. No questions asked.
Oh, cool! Wow.
I will wear that belt. I'll bring that belt to. I'll bring it to Vegas and I'll wear it at the studio.
I can now take a breath because I thought he was gonna go, motherfucker. You know who I am? You know who you're talking to right now? I thought I was gonna get a threat, but wow, he took it well.
And I'll tell you what, George. Out of respect for you for asking that question, I will not take a picture with that belt. I think that should be my penalty for not standing next to you when you did this.
Yeah, no,
because I've been torture racked before. I didn't want that to happen.
Oh, that's right. I remember that. All right, so we got you, man. We got you. DC.
That's still one of my best memories of MMA Junkie Radio ever. Torture racking that. That was so nasty.
I'm gonna have to tweet that out again. I think I have a copy of that video. All right, DC. So listen, man, we're closing in. We're closing in. You haven't done too much media, so we haven't really heard too much from you, but we're closing in. We're less than 2 months away from your title defense against Stipe Miocic. How are you feeling? Update us on the back injury that kind of postponed you fighting back in March, and how you feeling now as you're grinding away in camp?
It's going good, man. I tell you, it was rough initially. I was out of shape. I had just come off of an injury. I just came off of an injury, and now I'm back healthy, and I'm just getting better and better and better. And that's really all I can hope for, just to keep improving and physically getting better. And mentally, I know I want to fight and, defend this title. So now that the physical is starting to match up with the mental, I can anticipate a good 7 hard weeks of training, 8 hard weeks of training. We really ramped it up in the last 2 weeks, but we did start preparing at about 12 and a half weeks out, 13 weeks out, because I knew I had been away for so long.
And we heard that you quietly had a surgery, right, a few months ago on the back. So now are you as closest to 100% as you're going to get from all the wear and tear from all these years of wrestling and MMA?
Yeah, the wrestling was what all this time in the sport, all the time in high level competition, really did wear on me, as you would expect. So that back surgery really took me by surprise. I didn't expect it. I did that sneeze out in New York City.
Right.
Excuse me.
Uh-oh. You okay?
I'm sneezing. I did that sneeze up in New York City, and thought that I was going to be okay. But then about a month later, it went from bad to worse, man. And then it got to a point where I had to go in and have a surgery. I couldn't walk, When you have no pride about anything, when you're wearing... my mom's 75 years old, and I'm wearing my mom's... cane around my house. I'm walking on a cane, going from like counter to counter to try and stand up. It was madness. It was madness. It was absolute madness. But then good thing I have a good doctor, good surgeon, and he went and took I had a bulging disc that was sitting on my sciatic nerve. You can imagine how painful that is. 2 inches bulging out onto the sciatic nerve. So the moment he was able to shave that back, it took all that pressure off, and I was walking back normal the day after.
Wow.
And that actually came from the sneeze, or was that just did that dislodge it a little bit?
I think it was wear and tear, a lifetime of wrestling, a lifetime of competition. But I think when I did that sneeze, I was so relaxed, and I woke up in the morning going, oh, I feel great today. This is the best I've ever felt. And so I was just really relaxed, and I probably should have like squeezed my stomach or something whenever I was sneezing because it threw me out bad. And good thing the UFC has such a phenomenal staff, because if they didn't, I wouldn't have been able to fight that night, which is a crazy thought.
Did this surgery and the fact that you're feeling better, did it buy us more DC fights? Us, all the DC fans and all the media that cover DC. Did we just get an additional 3 fights or 18 months or something like that, or are you still kind of taking it fight by fight?
Fight by fight, man. At my age and at the level that I'm still fighting at, I start looking past what's happening in the here and now. I'm doing myself a huge disservice. I can't look past tomorrow, honestly. Am I going to be physically fit enough to even go to practice? It's like those are the types of things that I'm worrying about right now. Day by day, fight by fight. No looking forward.
But every day,
that's a bit of an exaggeration. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to train tomorrow, but it's that much. My mindset is to be just in the moment.
Will you be better than last year's DC, the one that faced Stipe Miocic, because now the back is 100%?
Yeah, I think so. I anticipate being a better version of myself. Because in the fight last year, there were many days where I was lumbering into practice, barely able to stand tall. And now, I'm walking around straight. I feel good daily. Because every day, I feel better and better and better. So I do anticipate being better. I feel physically better, so I would imagine that would lead to better results in the outcome.
Why wasn't this diagnosed like last year, for example, when you were not necessarily walking around with a cane, but you said you were having trouble standing up? Like, could your life had crossed paths with this doctor a year or two sooner, possibly? Or?
Honestly, I just would always kind of just go out and fight through it. That's what Russell do. Of course you're hurt. That's what we do. We get hurt. We continue to train. We get better. And every day, if I was leaning over at the waist, if at some point I was able to stand tall, that meant I was okay to train. And that's just kind of been my mindset. And it wasn't until I wasn't able to stand tall that I did take the approach that there's no training for me.
Incredible. Wow. All right. Daniel Cormier, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. And he is the UFC heavyweight champion who defends his title at UFC 241 on August 17th in Anaheim, California, against the former UFC heavyweight champion, Stipe Miocic. This will be his second title defense and not his first time as a champion in the heavyweight division. As I alluded to earlier, he was also the 2011 Strikeforce heavyweight Grand Prix champion. I was going over those names, Arlovsky, Karatanov, Barnett, Fedor, Bigfoot. Dude, it was a big list of heavy hitters, and DC was the one that took down that Grand Prix. All right, what do you have for Daniel Cormier?
Daniel, so now you're a husband, you're a father, you are helping coaching kids. How do you balance being that guy and then also that mean streak inside of you? You know what I'm saying? That softer side and the mean streak. How do you balance that?
Mm-hmm. It's exhausting, trying to juggle everything that I have on my plate. But these are things that I choose. I don't need too much dead time. I don't need free space. I need to be busy, taking care of my family, taking care of my wrestlers, and doing those types of things. I don't have a problem with trying to perform when I'm in the octagon because it's what I do. I know that for these young men and women that I coach, I have to be a certain way. But the moment that octagon door closes, I'm in there with a trained killer. And if I don't fight to my potential, I will embarrass myself, embarrass the kids that I train and my team and coaches, and I know that every day we're working towards a goal. So I can't go in there and think that I got to be this nice guy. I'm in there trying to kill just as the guy's trying to kill me that I'm fighting.
Daniel, I know that in other sports, the athletes, they get bigger, stronger, faster, and mixed martial arts as well. But you can compare. On ESPN, you'll see them compare, say, like a Tom Brady and a Joe Montana. And they both had great careers. And I know George is giving me the look because he's a big 49ers fan.
That's right.
But eventually, in your lifetime, I'm sure the athletes are going to be bigger, stronger, faster. And there may be a guy that just does more than you, right? When that happens, what is it do you think that he's going to have to do in history to kind of overtake what you've done in your career? What is that one guy, what is that one thing he's going to have to do?
The sport continues to evolve. You know, I mean, when you look at my career and the path that I've been through, I think the only thing they could do is just not lose. You know, the way that you overtake what I've done is to never lose and do all the things that I've done. You know, it's very hard to be a guy that, even if you have, you know, 2 championships or something, just have a whole bunch of losses, because that's the only way to compare us, right? Because we don't fight everybody. That's why I always talk about pound for pound is so subjective. You know, it's like, who's the greatest boxer of all time? Sugar Ray Robinson, Muhammad Ali, Floyd Mayweather. I mean, who? You know, people will say Mike Tyson's the greatest boxer of all time, but is that necessarily the case? There's no way to prove one way or the other.
Who would your answer be, by the way, in boxing?
You know, I think Floyd Mayweather. I mean, honestly, this is a guy that beat everybody, hardly took any damage in his fight, and made him look easy, you know. And that's what I applaud Floyd for, you know. And honestly, you know, part of being the guy, you know, and staying the guy for so long is fighting people at the right time. And I thought he fought what's the boy's name? I thought he fought Canelo at the right time. I thought he fought Ricky Hatton at the right time. I thought he fought Manny Pacquiao at the right time. I think he's just a smart guy, smart businessman, understands how to manage his career. And
wouldn't you be more impressed though if he would have beat these guys when they were at their peak? It sounds like he was avoiding their. No, Canelo was too early for Canelo, and Pacquiao too late for Pacquiao.
But here's the deal. Because we say that him and Pacquiao should have fought years prior, who's to say? Manny Pacquiao's still winning world titles today, right? He's still a world champion level fighter today, and this is many years after he fought Floyd Mayweather. Then we talk about it was too early for Canelo. Maybe a little bit, but why hadn't anyone else beat Canelo? And why hasn't anyone else put on Canelo like he did since? It's the same thing. We only say it's too late because he couldn't compete, too early because he couldn't compete with him. I think Floyd Mayweather, man. Because Canelo is that good, and he was that good even then.
I think he was smart, like you said. I think he saw the fight before, the Austin Trout fight, and said, you know what, I could do a lot of that stuff, and he's giving Canelo problems. I'm going to do it now rather than wait till later. I think he was very smart. But on this show, we always talk about, I think what I kind of beat over and over is, I feel like when it comes to the boxing, you have 2 choices. You can either say who was the greatest boxer of all time and who was the greatest fighter of all time. The greatest boxer of all time, without a doubt, is Floyd Mayweather. The greatest fighter of all time, yes, I think is Muhammad Ali or Sugar Ray Leonard.
Muhammad Ali or Sugar Ray Leonard or Sugar Ray Robinson?
Leonard.
Look
at the monsters he had to face.
And he fought anybody. Yes, he was a fighter and he fought anybody, and you applaud that. But come on, man. There are some great guys throughout history that can lay claim to the same type of actions that Sugar Ray Leonard had.
I wouldn't argue. It's tough. There's a lot of
100 years of history in boxing. MMA is a little bit easier. But let's switch the topic a little bit to Gilroy Wrestling. You know, I sometimes peek at that openmat.com or the Adidas high school team wrestling. You guys were top 10, man. Congratulations on what you've done. I got a buddy whose kid wrestles at Lake Highland Prep in Florida, and he's always talking about Gilroy High School and everything. But that's great, man, to become a powerhouse like that, DC. Congrats.
Yeah, man, it's been awesome. You know, I'm at a wrestling camp right now. We're doing it's called the Mid-Cals Wrestling Camp, and we've got 125 kids in here for a 3-day wrestling clinic. And Lake Highland Prep actually is going to come out to Gilroy next year for our annual, it's called the Garlic City Rumble. We take 4 of the top teams in the top 10, 15 teams in the country, and we wrestle dual meets against each other. So, I'm excited about that. I'm excited to have them. But and honestly, it's not me. It's like, man, we have some phenomenal kids, not only in the high school, but also phenomenal kids that will be coming into high school. You know, it's only going to get better and better.
Do you believe that, because you're not really tooting your own horn here, but do you believe that you have been able to get an extra gear out of every guy just because they know what you bring to the table, you know, in your career and how you're able to dig deep, and there's basically just kind of like a no excuses mentality?
I haven't had to. You know, I think these kids are such tremendous workers that all we did was try to build on what they had already done. You know, they were good wrestlers already, you know, so we're trying to build on what they had already done, and that's why we've been able to get so much out of these kids so fast. But it wasn't reinventing the wheel. These were all very talented young men and women, and it showed immediately when we got into the wrestling.
We just had Thiago Santos in our studio, and he was saying that he feels like one thing that he's going to be able to bring to Jon Jones that others haven't been is he's going to take the fight to Jon Jones. Would you agree with that, being that you've been a guy that shared the octagon with Jon Jones? And also, what's your breakdown of that fight coming up here next weekend?
I did that in every fight with Jones. I was the one trying to bring the fight. You know, I just was a lot shorter than him and made it very difficult. But I think Santos needs to go in there and just fight his fight. You know, don't think about what he has to do different than everybody else, what he needs to do to be better. Just wrestle. Just fight your fight. I'm sorry. Don't worry about all that other stuff. All that other stuff is just white noise. Worry about Thiago Santos and give yourself a chance. It's a tall order for him. You know, it's going to be a tough fight for him. I saw them like standing face to face the other day, and I thought Santos was a little bigger, and he's not as tall as I thought he was. Mm-hmm. And I think he'll realize early how difficult it is to deal with Jones's length.
Okay,
Daniel, I remember back when we were trying to figure out who it was you were going to fight, and we were going over all the options, and we brought up Stipe, and I remember one thing you said was, that's just a weird scenario because how can I make it any better than what I did the first time I went out and I knocked him out? And that was very true. But now that the fight is set, is there a different type of goal? Does it just go back to, hey, I'm just going to win the fight? Or is there like an inner goal within you to try and better that first fight?
I mean, it's win the fight. You know, ultimately, it's always about winning the fight. Get the job done. But, you know, if there's any way to improve, then try to improve. I mean, can I find a submission? Can I find a way to maybe take advantage of the same type of mistake that he may have made prior? You know, I understand that I spoke about a mistake that Stipe made constantly or consistently, and I was able to capitalize on it. But maybe there's something else we're seeing in that we didn't have to do last fight that I can start to use in this one. You know, there are just a lot of different ways to try to win a fight.
Who wins next week, Francis Ngannou or JDS?
You know, honestly, I don't know. I really don't care. I don't really care who wins the fight between those two. You know, I'm gonna watch. You know, as a fan, but it doesn't really matter. I think if those. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Hold on. Grab with the other hand, Daniel, please. You grab with the wrong hand to do a 2-on-1. Grab him, Eli. Grab wrist. Yes, wrist shoulder. There you go. Jeez Louise. Okay. No, it's like my son's at a wrestling camp and this dude was doing the move wrong over and over and over again. I couldn't even hold it anymore, boys. I had to tell him.
No worries. Well, the reason I bring it up is because when Francis beat Kane, Justin Willis tweeted out, I just added one to the hit list. And then I forgot what you chimed in, but you were you could tell you were feeling it too, like you wanted to avenge the loss at some point. So I didn't know if maybe part of you wanted Ngannou if you're going to continue fighting.
Again, it's like I don't see past Stipe Miocic. So if I get past Stipe Miocic and I go, you know what, I want to do this again, then maybe I do go beat Ngannou if he won his fight. You know, it's just a matter of getting through this one is what needs to happen, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm solely focused on this fight. Because, again, like you said, the motivation needs to change. The motivation needs to change. Before it was, I'm going to go become a double champion, and I'm going to go do this. Now I need to go and defend this title again and go and beat one of the best heavyweights of all time for a second time. This is not easy.
That's true. Man, you fought you literally fought a who's who, man. When you look at the list of fighters you have not had not even one tomato can. It's quite a list there. All right, just a couple more. when are you calling fights again? Or are you kind of free of that till the fight's over because you're in camp?
I'm done. Yeah, I'm done until after the fight. You know, for me, it's work, and get prepared. Try to keep this belt. You know, that's the most important thing right now. So keep the belt, and then go back to work afterwards.
Do you feel like if you get to 3 title defenses like Stipe, you may be the greatest UFC heavyweight ever? A title that was kind of given to Stipe when he broke the record for most title defenses.
Mm-hmm. I think Stipe's got a great record. I think Cain Velasquez to this day is still the greatest UFC heavyweight of all time. Mm-hmm. But I think as I continue to build on my resume in this division, my legacy will stand alongside anyone else that this division has ever seen.
There you go. By the way, DC, do you feel like, we'll close with this one, do you feel like you may be the baddest mofo that's ever walked this planet? Ever? If you think about it, I mean, and here's why I ask this. I was thinking about this the other day. If you ask a basketball player, hey, who's the greatest basketball player? A lot of them still defer to Jordan. He hasn't stepped on a court in 20 years. Or if you say, who's the greatest, of another sport, same thing. But our sport kind of evolves. They just keep getting better and better and better. So could you possibly be the baddest motherfucker that's ever walked this planet?
I think when you look at all that I've done, it's going to be very difficult to wonder if there's anyone, for all the things I've done across 2 divisions. I was depleting myself so completely to get to 205. To fight more at my natural weight division is it's insane. I never could have imagined that my career would have gone the way that it has. And I'm just real lucky to have been on this run. And that's a lot of hard work and a lot of people that have loved and cared about me that have allowed me to be who I am today.
Thanks for the time as always, DC. It was great catching up with you, and good luck with the rest of your camp.
Thank you, boys. I miss you, boys, man. I definitely will come in when I'm in Vegas next time.
Bring that belt. All right, see you, bud.
All right, boys.
All right,
Thank you. Yeah. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
All right. Folks, we're going to go to our break here. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 156. That was Daniel Cormier, the UFC heavyweight champion.
MMA Junkie Radio.
NBA free agency is coming, and some of the biggest superstars in the league could be on the move. Where will your favorite players be suiting up next season? Well, free agency opens on Sunday at 6 Eastern. Listen to nonstop coverage on NBA Radio, Sirius 207, XM86, and anytime on demand with the SiriusXM app. Goes, do we have a shot? Can we still get Kawhi Leonard?
I don't think so.
Or is he headed to the clip show?
I don't understand how they're gonna have money to pay for anybody else to play with these guys.
Yeah.
I really don't.
I heard
the Golden Knights are like that too.
I heard the Warriors. Wait, what about the Golden Knights?
They're like that too, where a lot of their money's funneled to like 5 guys,
yeah.
And then after that they can only afford to pay just a little bit to everyone else.
I heard the Golden State Warriors made an offer to Kevin Durant, and he turned that first one down.
They're saying the Nets, the Knicks, and the Clippers.
But I'm also hearing the Knicks may not get anyone. And supposedly Kyrie and Durant were going to go there, but that's why you should tune in to, I got it on XM86, but it's Sirius 207 XM86. I'm telling you, especially those days leading up to the free agent signing, and when they start signing them, man, all the shows are really, really kicking ass because they start talking about all the different possibilities, or some of them like linked to upcoming trades or not, but it's really, really a cool channel. It's one of my favorites.
I like the Knicks. I want them to be good. I miss when they were good. I think a lot of people think that the rest of the country kind of laughs at them. I don't want to laugh at them. I actually want them to be good. It was fun when they were good.
It was all right. I don't know if it was that much fun.
You think it was fun watching them battle with Jordan every year?
Yeah, and the Pacers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. Listen, thank you to DC for his time. I'm glad we were finally able to catch up with him. And to Thiago Santos as well. Now, let's go back to, we mentioned Jon Jones' name a little bit when DC was on the show. I honestly didn't want to go down the Jon Jones. I've heard all kinds of different answers, and I know Jones said something about Wolf tickets, but I'll tell you what, this show has a certain strategy, I guess, that's a little bit different from other shows. We're not going to just sit there and run from one guy. You said what? Oh, my God. Can you believe what he said? What do you think? Hey, man, can you believe what he said? What do you think? And I'm not saying we've never done that. All right? And we may do it tomorrow. But it's just, you can tell when it's the right time and when it isn't. And trust me, he will be able to address that. But there was just other things we wanted to discuss. I really have an interest in his Gilroy wrestling team. I wanted to get that one question in regarding that. I wanted to know if he's going to be calling any other fights. I wanted to go down the road of the Strikeforce Grand Prix because me and Richard Hunter were talking about it yesterday. Do you remember those names I just told you?
Mm-hmm.
It was incredible. I forgot to mention Overeem's name. You know, there was really, really some great talent.
So tell him to bring the jacket, too.
It was Karatanov and Arlovsky. It was Bigfoot. That's when he eliminated Fedor. It was Overeem and
Verdum in it?
Verdum, yeah. And it was Barnett against... do I have to actually fucking open the window up?
Well, let me continue on what you were saying. I don't remember now. But let me continue on what you're saying.
Sure.
Now he's going to come here and he's going to be in studio. Last time he was here, he sat here for 2 hours, and we played Mike Tyson's Punch-Out during the show.
Yeah.
That's when you can ask him that type of stuff. And he'll give you a better answer.
Yeah, it's not that I'm scared to or anything like that.
No, but he's already been asked it 1,000,000 times. He's going to give you the same bullshit answer.
Kind of. I felt like it was a question. I thought it was a spot that had to do with the heavyweight division, his fight, his back injury, and just to react to, well, Jon Jones still only wants it at 205, and we know that you want him there. I don't know. I feel like it's feeding into the same so now someone's going to go back to Jones and go, DC still wants you there. You know what I mean? Nothing's been settled. Now, I bet you in a week and a half when that fight happens, either Jones adds to the resume and just continues his climb, as possibly many will say he's the greatest of all time, or what if he gets upset? Now all of a sudden that might, we'll talk to Daniel Cormier again. It's just that right now, that's the way it went down. It was Brett Rogers. So Karatanov beat Arlovsky. Barnett beat Rogers. Bigfoot beat Fedor. Overeem beat Verdum. But Overeem couldn't continue. So DC steps in, and he beats Bigfoot. Barnett beats Karatanov, and Cormier beat Barnett. And do you remember how many times he scooped up Barnett?
Yeah.
And threw him around?
That was crazy.
Have you ever seen Barnett? to anybody that hasn't seen Barnett, Josh Barnett is every bit of 6'3", 265, 270 with fucking big-ass thighs and arms and hips and wow. I mean, I knew that he had a chance to beat Barnett, but to dominate Barnett's a whole other thing. And at this time, folks, Strikeforce had the best heavyweight stable, even better than the UFC at the time, because I remember we used to ask a lot of fighters, which 10 would you want, which 8 would you want in a street fight? And we would say those 8 right there, and we picked the top 8 that were in the UFC at the time, and most of the time they were like, wow, Strikeforce does have some killers over there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it was such an epic win for him to get that title. All right, so what I was saying was one person's opinion of Jon Jones that a lot of people respect is obviously Dana White, because he's been around the sport for a long time. He's promoted a lot of great fighters. And it's not easy for him to single out a certain fighter. But guess what? He thinks Jon Jones is the greatest. Here's Dana White on cut number 1 from an interview that he had on ESPN LA.
Listen, Jon Jones is, you can't even argue it. You can't deny it anymore. He's the greatest ever. He's the greatest of all time. And if you look at his life outside the octagon and what he's been able to do inside the octagon, it's pretty amazing. Nobody has ever been better than Jon Jones. Just the guy's unstoppable.
Okay, you can't argue it
very easily
because it's not a right or wrong. So unless you all agree that, hey, Dana's going to argue one side and Go's going to argue the other side, and George will be the judge. I guess we're going to have a winner and a loser there. Yeah. But it's all subjective when you talk about the greatest of all time. There's many different reasons, or many criterias that people look to. Hell, I got an interesting retweet from Ulysses Gomez. Somebody had asked the Mount Rushmore, and I gave mine. And he goes, but Ulysses Gomez said, but isn't Mount Rushmore some of the founding fathers, and shouldn't Gracie be on there, or whatever? And I was thinking, wow. I retweeted him respectfully. I go, you know what? You're right. It was Washington, Jefferson. Those are founding fathers. But then 100 years later came Abe Lincoln, and then 50 years after that came Theodore Roosevelt. Those are the 4. But in MMA, when we talk about it, we just go for the greatest. I don't think anyone goes, well, okay, we got to pick 2 founding fathers, and then we got to pick someone out of the future generation. We don't say that. We just go with 4. I gave my 4 of Fedor, Jones, Cormier, and GSP.
Wow. So if he did it his way.
Those could be argued in different ways. But my point is, it can be argued. I think it could be argued that what George St. Pierre was pretty fucking incredible. I know he's got 2 losses, and Jones only has 1. And by the way, they're trying to scrub that one off his record.
That they cannot do.
I know, exactly.
But you can't do that.
One thing GSP did was more title defenses, and he won 2 different belts in 2 different weight classes. That's got to count for something. Otherwise, he wouldn't have promoted it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like Dana White stood there and said, GSP defeated Michael Bisping. Next, he actually said, GSP defeated Michael Bisping. He just won his 2nd title. That's a big deal. That's why he's saying it. Anyway, here's another cut of him trying to get Jones's losses overturned from when he fought Matt Hamill.
The guy's never lost a fight ever. That one loss on his record, we're trying to get that clear. It was at a time and a place in the Nevada State Athletic Commission when it was at its worst. It was the weakest commission ever in the history of Nevada, and the referee that reffed that fight shouldn't even have been in there. And he disqualified Jon, which shouldn't have happened either. So hopefully we can get that overturned.
I just don't think you can do that. It was a rule, and he did it 4. I think it was not just 1. It was quite a few times that he went 12-6 with the elbow, which is illegal. The other guy couldn't continue. It's the way it goes down, my man.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Let's go back and overturn Fedor's loss. I mean, even he has a crazy case for that.
Yeah. All right. We can talk more about that tomorrow. Thanks to Daniel Cormier and Thiago Santos for their time. Shout out to Alex Davis for coming in and also for translating. And we'll be back tomorrow in 22 hours with another edition of MMA Junkie Radio. For Jael and Goes, I'm George. Have a nice evening. Go out there and be a champion.